Hello, this is a recording to demonstrate the working of our application, that is our submission towards the final project of CSYE7374 design patterns. Following is the list of all of our team members and their respective contributions. I have taken over the singleton factory and facade pattern, and I'll start with explaining the singleton and factory pattern. So the airline object is supposed to be a representation of different airline companies, and the objects for these are created using a factory, which also implements a singleton pattern, because there only needs to be one object to create function as a factory. And as for the facade pattern, we're using it to abstract the details of data persistence, which is storage and loading of all of the objects that we will create. So save and load facade API is supposed to abstract where the data is saved. And then file handler API is supposed to abstract in what format the data is saved. So for our purposes, we're storing the data in a local machine and in the CSV format.
Okay, let's move to the builder pattern. I create a booking class which uses the flight API and the person API. And for the flight class which implements the flight API, I use the inner class flight builder to create flight object. When we want to create the flight object, we can choose the attributes which we need to use to create. And next, we use the customer builder to create customers object. First, we implement the customer person API by the customer class, and maybe in the future we need to use the subscriber class to implement person API. For the observer pattern. So I use the customer builder to create the customer object to same as the flight builder, which can choose the objects we need to use when we create the customer object. Yeah.
Once the customer and the flight are chosen, the customer sees the destination and he sees the price of the given ticket. He has the option of choosing different discounts that can be applied on the given price of the ticket. In this case, Christmas discount, summer discount, and the veteran discount. The Christmas discount and the veteran discount apply a certain percentage of the initial price and deduct it from the original amount, whereas the summer promo just deducts a fixed amount from the initial price of the ticket. All the three are implemented from the discount strategy API.
Next on, we'll be looking into decorated design pattern. Now the customer has booked his or her flight. So now an airline could provide them with their options in order to customer to upgrade it. Flight upgrade option interface abstracts the method that needs to be overwritten by the decorator methods. We offer 3 different upgrades: extra legroom, extra luggage, and premium upgrade. Accordingly, the changes would be reflected into the base price that the customer is supposed to pay. That's it.
Okay, so once we are ready with the final price after applying the strategy pattern and the decorator pattern, we make sure that the customer is now able to see the final price of its booking in the currency of the country that they are residing in. So we have taken the US currency as the legacy code for us, and on top of it, we have added an adapter using which we can integrate it with the new currencies that are being added as a part of this code. So the client every time can call the flight price currency API and have a look at the final price of their booking with respect to the currency they choose in. So the demonstration for this is present in the code. On to the next pattern.
This is the state pattern. The state pattern shows different states of the flight. State pattern is a type of behavioral design pattern. It shows the different behaviors of this flight state object. So the flight state object changes its internal behavior based on the internal states of the flight. The flight state API declares the methods that need to be implemented by each state of the flight. The states of the flight are scheduled, onboarding, in transit, offboarding, delayed, and cancelled. Next, we move on to the program flow. So we start the program flow with creating an airline object using singleton factory. We import data from CSV and save and load the data using facade. We add another customer to the list using builder, and we create a booking with the customer on the given flight. After booking a flight, we apply the available discount using strategy pattern, and we can also perform upgrades using the decorator pattern. After upgrading and applying discounts, we perform the currency conversion of transactions using the adapter pattern. And finally, we end the program with state pattern. It shows different states of the flight. Moving on to the next slide.
Now, for future scope, we can implement the observable pattern by turning the customers into observers and pushing notifications as to the status of their flights. For the prototype pattern, we can use a quick order function for flights that are frequently reused and other settings such as duration, date, and whatnot that are frequently reused. As for the command pattern, we can use it to enable login and instruct every single user action to initiate log feature. Now we move on to the implementation of the code and a demonstration of its working. We start by creating an airline object using the get instance of the airline factory. We assign a name to our airline, and that sets the files that the data will be loaded by. And then we use the facade pattern. And we use a CSV handler because that's where we're storing our data. And we pass this over to save and load to local object that implements the save and load facade API. And then we finally pass that over to the airline object. So all the data loading is abstracted. All the airline object has to do is call a load data method.
And we use the builder pattern to create flights and customer object. First, we knew the flight object and cite the attributes of for the flight object and add it to the flight list. Same with the flight, the customers can be set to different attributes and add to the customer list. And then we use the facade pattern. It contains the methods, the flights, and same customers. It can store the data to the CSV file. And then when we save the flights and customer to the CSV file, we have a new flights CSV and customer CSV, which can be used for the booking to create the new booking order and save it to the CSV file for the booking facade pattern. So yeah.
Next would be the strategy pattern. Once the customer has chosen the given flight, his destination, and he has done the booking, he can apply different discounts. In the demo, you could see that there's a veteran discount, there's a summer discounts, and the Christmas discounts. You can see that the different discounts are applied and the prices are being shown over here. He chooses which one is economical or whichever is applied to him. Once he feels he's satisfied with the discount price, he applies the discount, and such price is set as the final price of the ticket.
So now that the customer has done a booking and applying different discounts, airline would provide different upgrades available for the customer to implement to add on to their booking. So here we are providing different upgrades. Let's say a customer chooses to have a premium upgrade to their flight. So accordingly, we even set the base price for the ticket, and yeah.
So once the price has been decided, after applying the strategy pattern and the decorator pattern, we move on to the adapter pattern, which is going to display the final price using the currency of the customer that he or she is residing in. So we have taken the basic currency or the legacy code, which displays the currency as per the US dollars. So once we have that, we have taken into consideration the new currencies that have been added, which is the INR and the Canadian dollars. And on top of it, we are making a new adapter that would abstract the code of US currency, and using which we can have a look at the final price of the booking in all the three currencies. And all these details have been abstracted and will not be visible to the client. They can just call their one API and have a look at the final price along with the currency.
Over here, we schedule a flight and we show different states of the flight. So we first start on by moving to the onboarding state. The passengers are onboarded, and then we move to the delay state. So the flight is delayed, and then we offboard the passengers and then onboard them again. And then we move to the in-transit state. Once we move to the in-transit state, we offboard and we explore all the different types of possible states from there on. After that, after moving from the offboarding state, we basically again onboard the new set of passengers and move to in-transit, and then we explore the delay and canceled state, and then we finally offboard the passengers. We schedule another flight, which is flight 2 or FS2, and the FS2 also explores the delay, onboarding, and cancel state, and finally the state pattern comes to an end. And this also marks the end of the program demo. And thank you very much for